Having said that, let's go on to the next segment of the podcast, Dandi Ki Baat. We'll kind of deep dive into will making, the global landscape, and let's also talk about how things are different in different demographics that you've worked in. So let's start with the first things first. What is the origin of the name Asset Vault? Aasanwill is self-explanatory, but what about Asset Vault?
Asset Vault, as the name suggests, is this one place where you get to see your entire portfolio, whether it is physical assets or digital assets. So it could be house, car, bank account. Aajkal to you are acquiring physical assets in a digital way, whether it's through DigiGold or REITs or I don't know, like even NFTs, art. So basically, I think that was the intention, and at that time, the thinking was. Because ultimately what we are doing is we're helping a person make a list of all of their stuff, right? And it could even be like copyrights. We have customers who are writers. We have customers who are content creators, by the way.
Right.
So their channels churn out monthly cash flow. So who's going to? The big question, abhi to pura Hindustan content creation, even the world is on this content creation spike, right?
Sure.
The question is, who's going to get? Do you actually know the YouTube policy? Do you know what or whatever Spotify policy on how do you give this recurring income to the family members? Not a content, no clue. Most people have zero clue.
No idea.
क्योंकि सबको लगता है हम लोग यहाँ पे permanently रहेंगे. So and again, I don't want to scare people. Like you see how people 30s, 40s, 50s in India, especially metabolic diseases, heart attacks. KK, singer KK, then the Kannada actor. These are all like obviously prominent examples that should immediately bring the idea. But for every KK, there is like thousands of normal people who are also present. So, because I have had the point of view of seeing what happens when a family member dies, which is why I started the company in the first place. It's very difficult time, especially when you're going through loss and then figuring out the legal side of things, running from pillar to post, spending money. It's totally unnecessary, avoidable pain that you can actually nip it in the bud by just taking like 1 or 2 precautionary measures at like a small like 5,000 rupees. So it's more being safe than sorry.
Understood. I think that is definitely pretty interesting. You did say that, right? There was some event that kind of got you into this segment. So that was essentially my next question. Why did you choose this specific segment of will making as a domain in which you would want to build your business?
I think one of it was much more organic. So while thinking about becoming or looking at ideas, there were obviously several ideas that came up, and some more tech, less tech, some more sexy, less sexy. But I felt, and at this time, I actually lost my uncle, and this was not one of the like top 10 ideas that I had listed down. But then I saw my uncle's son, my cousin Rishi, go through the bureaucratic nightmare. I'll list it out, right? Number 1, first, the children will have no clue about all your investments. They will not be able to. That's the first issue, which is the 1.5 lakh crore unclaimed wealth.
Sure.
The second issue is, even if they know that there is, let's say, a bank account or an EPF or land, you now need to establish that you are the successor. It's called a death certificate, legal heir certificate. It's not like you can't just go online and get these things. These are like difficult stuff. Especially when the kids are like employed and they have like time sensitive. So I mean, that's only the beginning. And now if there is no will in place, guess what? Like the law says one thing, the parampara says another thing when it comes to legacy. Like in India, for example, when you get daughters married, the expectation is bulk of the assets go to the kid, and then and this like an open secret, right?
Right.
But law actually doesn't define it like that. It's been amended, so the daughter can also claim her full 50% share. In most cases, it's the daughter's in-laws or the husband who will say, why are you leaving your legal share? Guess what happens? Brother and sister start fighting. None of this is like theoretical. These are like every day we see. And I'm giving you one simple use case.
Right.
So you see how much time we are now, if I just take a step back, we are burdening our already burdened judicial system by giving them unnecessary property dispute cases, which will again prolong the access to the asset. And guess what? We have had customers who had demat accounts. These are time sensitive. If in like 1 year, the entire value can get wiped out, right? This is not like a plot of land where the core assumption is it will go up always.
Of course.
It's not how it works.
Right.
So you have basically created so much issue that has resulted in value destruction. The family is suffering. You see, like all of these things, they're all interrelated. And there's so many use cases depending on whether you're married, whether you have children, whether you're cohabiting. LGBTQ, we support so many same-sex couples that marriage is not legal in the country. Guess what? There's like plus million people. And it's going to take care of their needs. So again, we help do a lot of awareness for these issues because most people don't think about law. Neither did I, right? Like you wouldn't have. Like at the FinTech festival where we met, I probably sold like 100 wills on that day.
Right.
And these are like Bombay-based India's FinTech leaders. Nobody had or very few people had a document. So it's that which is the genesis of why I got in.
Gotcha.
Problem to solve. Really spread it.
Of course, I think, and this is probably one of the major problem treatments also that I see in running this business, and I'm pretty sure you would be able to attest, is having this conversation with a traditional Indian gentleman, right? कि आप मरोगे उसके बाद क्या? Like the morbid conversation, it requires a specific skill set to turn that or convert that into a successful sale or a successful will, right?
Yeah, so I think it need not be morbid. So let me put it in the most positive light. Everybody in India or the subcontinent, we have a lot of religious diversity, but we all converge on one point. And in the words of Swami Vivekananda, that one point is the belief in soul. Whether it's Buddhists, Jains, Hindus, everybody else, right?
Sure.
अगर soul है तो पुनर्जन्म में भी आपको विश्वास रखना पड़ेगा.
Right.
Because the soul goes from one body to another. This is like the central tenet of the Bhagavad Gita.
True.
So now, if you want a better life, you already know the answer. If you want to move up in the life game, what do you need to do in this janam?
Sorry, just took a little water break. I think you should need to do a lot more punya, as I said.
Yeah, or karma, right? Like do better karma.
Yeah.
Okay. So how can you do better karma? What is an example of good karma?
Helping people out. I think helping people out is the basic.
So I have actually analyzed the top 10 karma according to Hindu scriptures. We'll start there. Uske baad I can cover other religions. So number 1 is food donation. So Akshay Patra is an incredible organization that I have been supporting in a personal capacity, and now obviously through Aasanwill also we help people donate to charity food donation. And Rig Veda emphasizes food donation as the best kind of.
Got it. Annadan.
Second, Annadan. Correct. It's ultimate because you are literally helping life. The second one is donation in temples. Tirupati gets it's after Vatican City, it's the world's most donated religious institution. It gets annually like 650 crores and up.
Oh.
That's another way to do good punya. I'm giving you like literally because your audience is all about leaderboards. I've gamified this. If you want your next janam as the world's best VC or Decacon or whatever, like Centicon founder, do good karma now. And these are examples for you to do. Right? Providing giving alms to people, donation during Ekadashi. You get the point. So now we are actually enabling this through Aasanwill. There is a concept, right? It's called dying with zero in my bank account. Most people, when they pass, there's some number in the bank account, right? Let's call it X lakhs or X thousand or X crores, whatever, depending on your case. That's wasted. You could have spent that. and you
Sure.
could still obviously give some money to your family. So what we have done is through the Aasanwill, there is a segment where we are actually helping charities, helping the customer donate to charities. And we've already raised several $1 million for various charities across causes. So this also is an important way for us to reduce the wealth inequality in India. Today, 10% of India holds 78% of India's wealth.
Right.
It is very shameful. I'll tell you why. Because these numbers in the Western world might be a little palatable, but in India, 78% of wealth in 10% means there's a lot of below the poverty line people. And when I say a lot, I'm talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions. This, if we don't do something to address it now, and India doesn't have inheritance tax, you can give 1,000 crores to your family. I mean, you're seeing all this, right? Like Shah Rukh Khan ki beti ne building kharida and she's a farmer. This is what happens. Right. So, how do you tackle this problem? Because this wealth inequality means future crime, means a society in which you can't live. Already you are probably seeing examples of this in some cities where the haves and have-nots. Again, whatever I'm saying is standard economic theory over several centuries. It will get played out in India and because it has played out everywhere else.
Of course.
What can we do as startup founders to make a small difference? So already, as I'm telling you, we are helping families benefit years from now. Donate to charities. It's a clear win-win. BITS Pilani, we won BITS Pilani Shark Tank earlier this year. We are giving back to BITSA charity. We are giving to Cambridge University. I invite you your podcast. We would love to do it for all the other alma maters, your university. We would love to, because they're senior alumni for many schools, but they don't know how to get will-based legacy gifts.
Right.
There's one entire work stream that we have now dedicated ourselves to. So, like across 10 different types, 20 different types of karma, right? Like it's all good because it is part of your legacy. So you see, now we have talked about, not about death. We've talked about good that you're doing in the world, your legacy, and how you're helping build a stronger country together. A more lasting, better India.
Definitely. That is a great spin on a topic that otherwise would be very difficult to, pick up with people who generally would be reluctant to talk about this, right? To specifically, someone that they don't really know, like, kaise baat kare? Because as of now, and that brings me to my next question as well, like, what is the current formal will-making process across the globe and India? Like, what have you observed?
So, different countries have different laws and different rules. Let's start with India. Like if basically if you want to write a will, you can do it on a piece of paper. You can just take a piece of paper. According to law in theory, you say, this is my last and I revoke all previous wills. And I want to give you make a list of your assets and you say who gets what. And you get it signed in front of two witnesses that are above 18. And who are not beneficiaries of the will. So they can't be like a wife who's getting something in the will.
Sorted.
This is like a very bare minimum. But obviously, it is prone to fraud, right? Because then, how do you ensure, especially, again, different countries have different mechanisms of dealing with fraud. How do you ensure that, this is indeed the last will and testament? So this is, I think, and then there are some frequently made mistakes when it comes to writing a will. For example, I'll give you the classic example. Let's say you have two children and you want to give one kid 80%, another kid 20% of the wealth. You want to explain why you've done that, just in a one or two lines. Or in some cases, some people give 100% to one kid and don't even give anything to the other biological kid. You have now given the second disadvantaged kid an opportunity to take the brother or the sibling to the court, saying this probably is not my dad's will because he's not given me anything, something is fishy.
Sure.
But if you mention categorically there is a reason why I have excluded this person because of XYZ, then you get it registered in India, which is what we do. So in theory, you don't need a registered will, but in practice, it helps significantly if you get a will registered. So Aasanwill is the only end-to-end platform that helps you do that all over India. So, which includes drafting your will by experienced lawyers who've written like got like 50, 60 years of combined experience. They've written thousands of these documents. So immediately they'll be able to advise you on, hey, have you considered this scenario? Have you considered that scenario? So it's not just a computer document, Word template, here, download kar diya. It doesn't work like that, succession planning. It has to be this. So we do that. And of course, we help you all the way to registration, which is a very different offline experience. I don't know if you ever went to an SRO office. It's a different experience. So it will take you into a realm of like Premchand's India. So if you've ever those novels.
Right. No, I think this is definitely interesting. I mean, will making, from what I understand, like as you said, right, witness chahiye, and how do you identify with the witnesses? I mean, witnesses are normally also gotten by people who are either who is either writing the will, or it's sometimes beneficiaries, someone who knows the beneficiary well, and the beneficiary might have brought in the witnesses as well. How do you avoid, and I mean, how do you also identify that there was no coercion during when the will was written and all of those things? And I mean, that is where registration as well comes in, right?
Correct.
Having said that, sorry, please go on.
No, I think the KYC is also important. So when you do the registration, you show up, right? Because in most cases, I mean, there have been cases where, and I was speaking to, now we are one of the, if not the most covered brand in India. I was talking to Dainik Bhaskar the other day, and you have like cases where people have actually taken like thumb impressions of the dead bodies after the act, and they've written like a will. It's very difficult, right? Like
a lot of frauds. Yes.
So you need to ensure that you're following the right. First, making sure you have the right. Step one. Then go through the right motions all the way to registration. And you need a platform that does that, because these are all like disparate actors. The lawyers will only draft it. The people who register you are at different like brokers or third parties, and there's like a whole set of intermediaries.
Right. So take me through a customer's journey of once I mean, if I'm a Aasanwill's customer, what's my journey end to end? Like from the day I take my make my will, or day I get onboarded, to the day I die.
Yeah, so let's start with the first part. So I'll take a proper use case, right? Let's say somebody is 40 years old, just became a parent, got a minor child. They want to write a will because they want to appoint a legal guardian in case something happens to that man and his spouse.
Right.
So they have one kid, and again, in the case, by the way, before I get into it, I also want to educate audience. One important point. One is, if a Hindu man dies without a will, 1/3 of his total wealth goes to the mother of the man, 1/3 goes to the wife, and 1/3 goes to all the children. The father of the Hindu man gets nothing.
Oh, now I did not know that.
Most people wouldn't. So now the question is, if the mother and father, the mother who's got the 1/3, if the mother and father are not on the same page, who's going to take care of the father in the twilight years?
Right.
Worth thinking about. You should ask your next guests if they knew about it, like startup founders. Right? Then the same example, Hindu woman, it's even atrocious. Her parents get absolutely nothing because she is considered the property of the man. This is like there is this old 10th commandment of Moses, right? Thou shalt not covet man's ox, cattle and wife. Hindu, India में भी वही बोलते हैं कि वो हिंदी में कुछ मुहावरा भी है, like jar, joru or zameen, like something like that, right? Where you're basically combining the woman along with your assets. So, who's going to now take care in a modern India where men and women are the same, and women are working equally hard building careers? Who is going to take care of the parents? Is the son-in-law going to take care? Or is only the boy's responsibility to take care of the parents? What if the parents don't have men? If they only have both daughters? Right. Fundamental conversations to be had. Okay, now with that said, coming back to the use case, it literally takes you 15 minutes to write a will on Aasanwill. All you need to do is tell us what assets you have. Again, we don't need excruciating detail about survey number and house property deed, none of that. Basically, you make a list of all your, like for example, I'll give you bank account with this city, with this branch. and this brand name of the bank. I don't need to know the IFSC code, the account number, the balance, because all of those are the balance anyway is a volatile number. Whatever makes it easy for your family to identify that you have an asset is the bare minimum, and it's quick. You can literally list this at least 90% of your stuff from the top of your head. Most people
Right.
thinking about it. So we make it easy like that. That's step one. Step two, once you give us that information and tell us, who you want it to go to, our lawyers will prepare the will and give it to you in 48 hours. The first draft.
Got it.
You can review the draft. Most people at this stage are happy with the draft because we've designed the product in such a way that we ask you all the relevant questions. If you still want to make changes, you can make changes. You can talk to our lawyers, do a video call, phone call. We even do premium services, visit you at your home or at a location of your choice and give you a counseling answer. Then that's it. Once that is done, you have your final will. And after that, we will help you get it either notarized or registered in your city at your convenience. So it's literally concierge driven, white glove, makes life beautiful, and gives you this peace of mind that you've done the right thing. And obviously, it will not help you solve mortality, but it's the next best thing. It will give you that confidence. Yeah, I've done the right thing. As whenever and in the will, I won't bore your audience with executors and all of that. So we take care of all of that. So the person just needs to take out 20 minutes of their time for the first the will, and we'll even send you doorstep notary if you require that. We have some senior citizens, people that cannot step out of the home. No problem.
Right.
We'll come to your home and they'll love it. They've given us incredible testimonials. Literally, they say, "You've changed my life. I've been thinking about this for such a long time, and it's not going to be super complex and time consuming, but we make it so easy." Hence the name Aasanwill.
Indeed. So, having said that, right, this is essentially the first layer of the solution. How do we kind of get to the next level of solution where you're able to give the picture of a person's entire net worth in one place on Aasanwill? Are you planning something like that, or do you think that as the next natural progression of the solution such?
It could be, but right now we are laser focused on helping as many Indian families get the protection of succession plans. We also do trusts. I mean, you work with a lot of startup founders. I have probably in the last month helped maybe close to 50 founders write their own wills. I'll tell you what happens. Most founders who are youngsters, right? In their less than 50 years old. They don't think about. They think about burnout, but they don't think about
mortality yet. Yes.
Yeah. Not even. Yeah. Just general succession planning, right? It's good, especially when because this is your life's work. Now, what happens is in the shareholders agreement, there'll be a little clause which says, in case the founder dies, everything will go in accordance with the will. You can look at it. Most Indian
yes.
Legal, then the default laws will come. And I just told you a simple scenario where the father doesn't get if it's a man. So you see how you've given and if you worked hard, you vested equity. It is very important for founders who are listening to this to understand. थोड़ा एक 15 minute निकाल के think about this, because you're working day and night and you're already always thinking about the business, but this is also your business. Get your company with a legacy plan. I'm not saying do it with us, but do it yourself. It's not rocket science, but at the same time, it's important. So that is where our focus is right now. Get as many people protected as possible. And the number two is personally raise as much money for charities for various causes in the country through wills. We've got people donating to the Ayodhya temple. We've got people donating to the Indian Army. We've got people giving to Akshay Patra, as I've said, alma maters. So hopefully we'll raise a lot more posthumously, because I mean, it's very hard to give in cash. Post-tax cash mein daan karna, it's limited.
Yes.
But I would love, I've given 1% of my total net worth to some of my favorite universities. So these people have different causes, and we're all, I think the best part of millennial India is we're all very driven, right? We want to see some positive change in the country. So this is great too. Then the other thing we're also doing is we're enabling organ donation. Most people don't. India may just take a wild guess how many organ transplants happened last year. Our population is 1.5 billion.
Around 1 lakh? 1.5, 2 lakh?
15,000.
Okay. That's way lower than what I expected. I mean,
5 billion people.
There should definitely be a need for a higher amount, I'm pretty sure.
Need is there, but again, how do you do it? Most people have no clue because most people don't think, you gotta leave, man. You gotta leave the planet, and I keep coming back to that point. So let's do something. तो will के जरिए you can also donate your organs. क्योंकि हमको तो लेके जाना नहीं है स्वर्ग या नरक को, यही छोड़ के जाना है. You can actually, through one human body has enough spare parts to help 9 people.
Right. No, this is definitely something that should be changed. I mean, 15,000 is way lower number for a country like India.
Yeah, Prime Minister Modi was on it on Mann Ki Baat, I think in March this year. So it's a huge problem. Again, what we are trying to do, we are trying to bring innovation to this space by thinking about it from a holistic perspective. This is not just, for like the Ambanis or Adanis or Kirloskars. These are like the classic, family feud ho gaya, dono bhai lad gaye. Ye to this is like not, this is the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
This happens pan-India. Like, I see these every day, right? Brothers, sons, daughters. And for very silly things. Life is, we're a small pale blue dot. We have to make life about like love and affection and all the wonderful things. And law is there to help us. Ye choti-choti cheeze karke, we can actually live a more fulfilling life, leave a positive legacy, make our own little difference, or like the dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs would say. So this is the power of fintech. It's not just about making transactions easy or investing and getting like higher ROI. Who cares, man? We gotta die one day. We will die. So 15% मिल गया, 25% मिल गया, एक दिन जाना है. So let's do the right thing and leave a better legacy. I think that is what we want.
Got it, bilkul. Having said that, and the power of fintech in your last statement brings me to my final question for the day. How do you see yourself and specifically Aasanwill as a solution evolving given the rise of various emerging technologies? I'm more excited about how are you going to use blockchain specifically, because I do see a few synergies here. And if you have anything in mind with respect to AI and how you're planning to use that as well.
Yeah, so on the blockchain, you'll actually notice that I wrote one of the articles, one of the first articles, and it's probably one of the more higher cited ones, using the blockchain. Because it is a phenomenal use case of why a blockchain is a genuine need. Because in most cases, you don't need blockchain.
True.
Any good old database. But will mein kya hai? It has to be immutable. Because I don't want others to change, and if it is changed, then I would like to know the timestamp, because there is a reason why it's called the last will and testament.
Exactly.
So again, timestamping ability, immutability, and of course the fact that it has the actors in it. Matlab, imagine a world where I write a will, and then after, whenever my demise happens and it's proven, then automatically assets are changing ownership. Because India, I didn't even come to that. And we help with that as well at Aasanwill. Parents are dying, children need to own the asset. It's called mutation, change of name from deceased fathers to your kid. Do it in online karke dikhao mujhe. This is an offline thing.
I think this could be completely revolutionary for smart contracts, yes.
You got it. So exactly. So we've done this. I mean, we are way ahead of the time when it comes to the tech side of things. But obviously, real world mein, I can't go, ye blockchain pe hai karo. The law needs to catch up. Parliament mein amendment hona chahiye. This has not happened in many countries. So waqt lagega.
Right.
So that's one. And then of course, generative AI. Again, there's few use cases that lend themselves nicely to scenarios, right? If this, then that, and data. What we can do with, and we're already doing this in our chatbots and the way we construct our build products, etc., is a lot of it is smart contracting, because law in any country, any religion, is basically scenarios and if this then that planning.
True.
And the more data, the more scenarios you feed to it, your raw data, and then the system can automatically improve. Like it's I don't see a world without using generative AI in legal tech. So what we are doing is actually it's at the interface of fintech and legal tech.
True.
And I think there's a phenomenal opportunity for us to use, of course, the generative AI side of things and blockchain. I would say generative AI is already happening, because I don't need parliamentary amendments to actually know.
Right.
But for the blockchain stuff, I think yes, you need to interface with the offline world when it comes to, let's say, the SRO office in Hyderabad, or you go to your housing society in Bombay, because they need to validate it, right? It's like these are the other actors in. So onboarding them onto a new ecosystem like a public chain blockchain will probably take some more time.
Definitely. No, but I think this is probably one of the use cases of blockchain where I really feel this will actually make a difference and a huge impact. Having said that, I think, Vishnu, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been a pleasure having you here, and we all got to learn a lot of new things that we were not aware of. I mean, hats off to the work that you're doing, and specifically what I loved about what you're doing is the fact that you're also enabling donations to various causes and various NGOs. I think this is something that needs to be done to kind of reduce the wealth inequality or income inequality in the country and across the world, as in whatever small way that we can. And hats off to you for kind of devising that idea and doing that. Thanks a lot once again, Vishnu. It was a pleasure having you here.
Same here, Shreyas. Thanks for having us. And through this platform, would also like to invite your listeners to give Aasanwill a go. And remember, you're doing it for your loved ones, not for you. And we want to come to a world where if it's insurance, then it's LIC, and if it's will, Bolito, it should be.
Perfect. So whoever is listening, if you want to give this platform a try, you can just quickly check out the link. We'll probably be putting some links in the description. You can check it out and give it a shot. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shreyas. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too.